All right, so the encounter has ended. You slay the harpy. Wait, what? Oh, hold on. Okay, let me get this straight. You want to try and salvage the ass meat from the harpy and use that as something to cook in this blizzard. This is a true story. That's it. When you eat that, you're gonna have to make a constitution saving throw. And don't make me force disadvantage on you. Hi everybody, and welcome to You Start in a Tavern. Today, I'll be doing a review of Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. So this isn't a review where I've gotten the book and I've read it. I have been DMing this for 1 year, and I'm here to spill my thoughts, feelings, and the ups and the downs, basically helping you understand if you would like to DM this or play this or any of those. So Icewind Dale starts off in one of the coolest settings in the Forgotten Realms. Up in the northern reaches of the Sword Coast is Icewind Dale. Basically, it's a frigid northern region. It's very similar to Skyrim in terms of how it looks and how it feels. So the overview of the story is that basically Icewind Dale has been plagued by an eternal night where the sun never rises. Most people are blaming this on this demigod named Auril, the Frostmaiden. Now, those who are familiar with D&D lore know that Auril's been around for a long time. And Auril is basically the goddess of winter. And the story is about the players have to investigate why Auril is using her magic to not make the sun rise. It only ever comes to the horizon. And there's obviously a lot of other things going on, but that is kind of the main general story. The land of Icewind Dale, the main settlement is an area called 10 Towns, and it's 10 different cities and settlements, each run by a speaker. And around that are basically is the open tundra where ragged nomads live. And there's Goliaths that live in a large swath of mountains that divide Icewind Dale from the rest of the world, called the Spine of the World. And along that you have some cool hidden locations, a giant ragged glacier on the eastern side, and on the western side you have this turbulent sea of moving ice. There's a lot going on here. I think one of the, and it says this at the beginning of the game as well, one of the big themes of this one is horror and survival. Both come into play a lot throughout the campaign, and I'd say out of all the D&D adventures, I've played Curse of Strahd as well. This one is pretty dark. The people of 10 Towns sacrifice people to Auril, and they sacrifice other things. There's definitely some R-rated content in this campaign, which makes it very cool. And I'd say there's also themes of worship, you know, and basically contending with this idea of like, do you worship Auril and possibly appease her, or do you defy her and, you know, possibly incur her wrath? And I think those are very cool elements. And there's definitely some ancient mystery, and there's a lot of ancient empires that need to be investigated and ancient sites in Icewind Dale, and I think that's also very cool. Now, what's cool about this setting is it's very, like, there's turbulent weather and there's mechanics in the game where every day there might be different weather, lightly snowing, a blizzard. So throughout the entire campaign, the players have to contend with these elements, and survival is a big part of this campaign. And that is very cool for me as the DM, because I'm really trying to be, I try to be strict with my players on what they need to prepare, right? Their clothing, their food, their rations, and stuff like that. The positives. So I think what's been really great about this campaign so far has been, like I said, the setting. Icewind Dale is a very cool setting. You know, it's iconic. You know, it's been featured in a lot of D&D novels. It's been featured in a lot of video games. And the upcoming D&D movie actually has a section of the movie takes place in Icewind Dale, and they are in 10 Towns, and I'm very excited to see that. So I think the setting is very cool. You know, and like I said, like, I think the players are always on edge about like how the weather's going to be, what they're going to need to survive, and I think that's a very great game mechanic. I think what's also very cool about this is Auril, the villain. There's some negatives to this as well, which I'll get into. But Oral is definitely very creepy and scary, and I think there's a lot of buildup before the players eventually encounter her or, learn more about her. Where the people of 10 towns basically worship and fear her. And she basically holds all of their lives in her hands because she is creating this kind of eternal winter where the sun never rises. And I think there's also a lot of surprises that the players won't expect. And I think a lot of these campaigns have that. And there's a lot of other forces that are at work in the shadows. The campaign does come with this cool thing where every character gets these character secrets, and they're all given out randomly to the players at the beginning. That created a cool element of suspense, and the players were like, ooh, when I handed them out, and they didn't expect that. And that was a very cool thing. And about half of them have been revealed so far in the game. And the players are welcome to kind of reveal them through role-playing, and the DM is able to do that as well. So now I'm going to get into the negatives of Icewind Dale. I think the big thing with this campaign, and I was struggling with it for about 6 to 8 months before it started to pick up. It starts off a little bit slow, in which, it starts off with the players being able to kind of take in the setting and explore 10 towns. And I think this is good and bad. I think what's good about this is the players get a sense of the world and the setting that this one takes place. But I think sometimes I felt as a DM, it was a little bit too open world, and it was a little bit aimless. And I think sometimes the players never had a clear kind of driving force. The campaign I did before this was Curse of Strahd, and I found with Curse of Strahd, there was always a driving force moving the players. Like they had to go here, they had to find something. And I think it always kind of kept them focused. I think a lot of Icewind Dale, unfortunately, feels unfocused, and Oral doesn't really come into it too much at the beginning. So the players are a little bit confused, and I had to kind of give them some hand-holding and like some kind of hints here and there, more than the book recommends, to kind of guide them in a certain direction. So I think from a DM standpoint, it did take a little bit of work. Yeah, there's a few different parts of the campaign where it's a little bit more unwinnable for the players. And it's okay in my mind because I find those moments are what keep the characters in moments of suspense. But yeah, I think my biggest negative is that it starts off a little bit too open world, too open-ended. There's too much to do, and there's not enough of a clear plot to drive the players. But once you kind of get to some of the key story moments, it does get very fun. So, summary of my review. Icewind Dale is a very cool module if you're into creepy horror survival type of campaign that takes place in an iconic setting. I'd say this is definitely not a campaign for new DMs. There's a lot to take in. Like I said, the first few chapters, they're exploring 10 towns, and there's 10 towns. That's like 10 different sets of quests and characters and stuff like that, all happening along with these other plots that are kind of happening underneath that. And it does require a lot of the DM. You as a DM have to add a lot to this campaign. You have to help drive it. You have to help piece a lot of this stuff together. But if you can get past that and you are a more experienced DM, I would definitely recommend this. I think there's a lot of places where you can add your own kind of flavor. And once you get to the middle and to the end, it's starting to get very, very exciting. We are getting to near the end of the campaign, and they're approaching some really cool, iconic things and challenges, and I'm very excited to see how that goes. But yeah, that is my thoughts on Icewind Dale. Consider checking it out. It comes with a map. There's a bunch of very cool miniatures for it, and thank you for watching this review.